part in the course. It's Firebase. If you see here in this part, you can see that we have two errors related to Firestore. To solve these problems, we previously need to set up Firebase. For that, go to this part. Here we can see Firebase. We have two ways to set up Firebase. Okay, we have two options. But before doing that configuration, let's talk about Firebase. What is Firebase? Okay, for that I have created these slides. First, we need to understand that Firebase is a backend as service. So what is a backend as services? It's a cloud service that automates the backend side. It allows us to interact with a server from the cloud instead of creating one ourselves. You don't need to create a backend. You can use Firebase for that. You can use these backend as services for the authentication, for the database management, and so on. If you want to use backend as services, in FlutterFlow you have two options. The first option is Firebase, and the second option is this, Supabase. As you can see here, we have here Firebase, and here we have Supabase. If you are new in FlutterFlow, it's easier to learn Firebase, okay? For that, in this course, we will use Firebase. It has a better integration here in FlutterFlow. Also, in the documentation, you can see this guide, okay? We will use this later for the Firebase setup. See you in the next lesson. Hi guys, welcome to this new lesson. In today's class, we will connect our project to Firebase. For that, let's go to this part, settings and integrations, and here you have this option, Firebase. As we can see, we have two ways to connect Firebase to FlutterFlow. This one or this one. This first option is the fastest way to connect to Firebase from FlutterFlow. But also you have this another manually option. We will learn both options. Let's start with this manually option. As you can see here in the documentation, we have the instructions in this part for this manually option. Okay, so let's go to Firebase, and here, go to the console, here. Now, add a new project, clicking here. Write here the project name. In my case, I want this name. Okay, you can choose the name that you want and click here in continue. In my case, I want to enable analytics, so click here in continue. I will select a default account and click here in create project. It could take some seconds, just wait. Perfect, the project is created, so click here in continue. And here we have our project in Firebase. To start, we need to enable the access to FlutterFlow in our project. For that, click here in this icon and select user and permissions. Perfect. Now click here in add member, and here you need to write this account. Okay, this is a FlutterFlow account. So I will copy this and paste here. Perfect. Here we need to select the editor role and click here in add member. Perfect, you can see here the editor role. It will allow FlutterFlow to edit our Firebase project, but we need more roles, as you can see here. Okay, we are here in this part. Okay, here. As you can see here, we need to add more roles. For that, click here in Advanced Permissions Settings. And now in this account, click here. And we will add another role. This role, Service Account User. Okay, select this. Perfect. And we need another role. This, Cloud Functions Admin. Perfect. And save. And check here that in this part, role, we have 3 permissions. With this, FlutterFlow will have a full access to our Firebase project. You can close this if you want. Now, the next step is this. We need to configure the Firestore database. For that, go to this part, Build, and click here, Firestore database. Click here in Create Database. Here you need to choose the location. In my case, I will choose Sao Paulo because I'm from Peru and it's near here. Now click in Next. And here we have 2 options, production mode and test mode. In the test mode, we have a limit. Okay, we have a time limit here. If you are using Firebase for the first time, it's suggested to choose test mode. If you want also, you can change this limit after. Okay, no problem with that. Click here in Create. And perfect, we can see our database. Now, what is the next step? Okay, we are here. We can enable billing here if you want. If you want to upgrade, click here and you can use this Blaze plan. Okay, by now it's not necessary, so click here, close, and go to the next part. We need to connect the Firebase project to FlutterFlow. For that, go to this part, go here, and go to Project Settings. Also, here it's important to select the default GCP resource location. For that, click here, and click here in Done. And perfect. Now we only need to copy this project ID, copy this, and paste here in Firebase project ID, and click here in Connect. Perfect, we have the connection. So we are here. We also need to generate files. For that, click here in Regenerate Config Files, and click here in Generate Files. Please don't close this window, just wait. Nice. Finally, we need to add the authentication. For that, go here to Firebase and click here in Build, and here you have authentication. Now click here in Get Started. And here you have a lot of options. In this course, we will use this, email and password. Click here in Enable and save the change. Now we need to solve some issues in the project related to Firebase. For that, go to the issues. First, we have this problem. Click here. As you can see here, we need to deploy indexes. In Firestore indexes, click here in Deploy. Perfect. Also, it's recommended to deploy Firestore rules. So click here. and click in Deploy Now. Perfect. If you go to Firebase, you can see in the Firestore database that you have these rules. These rules establish who can update, create, or delete the documents in the database. FlutterFlow have created these rules for us, so we will use that. Now we have another error here, Firebase setup. Click here, and you can see here Firebase storage. The storage will allow us to save photos and other types of files. If you go to Firebase, you can see here the storage. Okay, this is storage. By now, we are not using this Firebase storage, so click here, Manage outside of FlutterFlow. And as you can see, the error disappears. And we have this last error. Click here. This error is related to this widget. We will learn later how to use widgets. By now, delete this, okay? Perfect. Now, go to this part, and here we can see this Manage Content. Click here. This is the database, and as you can see, there is no error here. We only need to add a new document. For that, I will run this project. I will use the test mode, so click here. It will take 2 or 3 minutes. I will come back. And perfect, we have the project running. If you go to the database, in this part users, we can see there isn't a document. Now I will add a new user. Click here in create account. For example, this is user 1. And click here in create account. If you go to the database, you can see here a new user. Now let's see in Firebase. Go to Firestore database. Here in data, you can see that we have a new user. Okay, this is the same user. So guys, it was the Firebase configuration. I recommend you check out this project to see the potential of FlutterFlow. Even here you have chats, also you have a profile page and so on. See you in the next lesson. For that I will run this project. Clicking here, I will close this. And you only need to wait some minutes. I will come back after that. Perfect, so I will create a new account. Click here. I will write here the account. And click here in create account. As you can see, this is working perfect. Okay, even you can add your name. For example, David. Click here. And you can see here that it was updated. Here we can see David and hello. And perfect. So guys, this is the another option to configure Firebase in FlutterFlow. See you in the next lesson. Hi guys, welcome to this new lesson. Now let's start a project from scratch. So click here, create new, and in this case we will use this, create blank. I will write here the name and create. I will escape this. Perfect. So guys, this is the project. This is an empty project, as you can see. And now we have a homework here. Try to connect to Firebase. I suggest you use this option because it will allow you understand each step in the process. You can stop the video and try it. Don't worry if you can't finish the configuration. I will show you the result, but try it. I hope you made it, but don't worry, I will show you the process now. As you know, you need to go to Firebase. In this case, we need to be here in the console. So click here in Add Project. After that, here we need to write the project name. In my case, for example, App1 project. You can choose another name, no problem. Click here in Continue. Continue. I will select a default account here and create project. The project is creating. Perfect. Click here in Continue. Now, as you can remember, you need to go here to Users and Permissions. Here we need to add a member. As you can remember, this is the FlutterFlow account. Now we need to select the editor role and add member. Now click here, Advanced Permission Settings. And here we need to add more roles. First, Service Account User. This one. And second, Cloud Functions Admin. This one. And save. Perfect. We have here the 3 permissions. So let me close this. And now we need to configure the database. So click here, Firestore database. Click here in Create Database. In location, I will select Sao Paulo. Here I will select Test Mode. Nice, we have here our database. And now go to Project Settings. Select this default GCP. And click here. Now you only need to copy this project ID and paste here and connect. Now we need to generate config files. So click here and generate files. Perfect. I will manage this outside of FlutterFlow. Now let's create here a new collection. I will create an user collection. Okay, click here in Yes. We have these fields, but what happens when we click here in Manage Content? We can see here this error. Why? Because we need to enable authentication. So go here to Authentication and click here in Get Started. And we are using this email and password. Enable and save. So I will refresh this. As you can see, the error disappears. To finish this, let me deploy the rules. for this collection user. Perfect. So we have finished the configuration of Firebase. Now we can use